Welcome back, DBC number 3. Today we are continuing with motivational interviewing, and we're talking about the planning phase, which is the fourth of the 4 steps. 4 things we're talking about today are, number 1, moving from evoking, which was last week, to planning, setting up an actual change plan with the client, number 3, strengthening their commitment, and then number 4, supporting them in their change. So let's hop in. Number 1, evoking to planning. The most repeated message in this section is to stay with the client's level of readiness. We're not pulling them into change or pushing them from behind, but kind of, if we think of ourselves as a guide, which is the metaphor they've been using, we're walking beside them and checking if they're ready. So how do we know if they're ready to move from evoking and all their change talk to actually like making a plan and getting on with the change? Great question. We want to listen for 2 things. In their change talk, we want to listen for the mobilizing change talk, like the cats from last time, remember, specifically taking steps. So there's things they've already done. And then also, if in their change talk, they are imagining and wondering about the change. I wonder what I would do with all the extra money if I quit smoking. Or imagine what it'd be like to get up and go to work without having a cigarette first. Maybe I'd feel better. And they're asking questions about the change. So awesome. So maybe they're ready. So let's say we think that they're ready. What do? We test the waters. Testing the waters is done through, are you ready for your 6-syllable word of the day? Recapitulation. A recapitulation is a fancy word for, if all of their change talk can be thought of as little flowers they're giving you, we kind of wrap that bouquet back up and present it back to them. So a recapitulation should be almost entirely their own change talk, if not entirely. And then we summarize all their reasons and motivations for change, and then we follow it up with a question, what they call a key question. So we've given them all this change, and they're probably feeling all the things that they've said, their own words. And we ask them something like, I wonder what you might do next, or what you might do now. And this word might, M-I-G-H-T, there's a lot of linguistics in this. And this comes up a lot. And this is kind of focusing with the hypothetical from last time. So let's say we give this recapitulation, ask a question, I wonder what you might do next. I want to do something about it, or let's make a plan. So boom, how do we develop a plan collaboratively with clients? And this is section 2 for today. So there are 3 possible situations you might find yourself in. And these will parallel the situations we talked about when we were focusing initially on what they wanted to talk about. So number 1 would be, they already know where they want to go and how they want to get there. Awesome. Situation number 2, they know where they want to go, and there's like 10 roads to get there, and they're not sure which one to take. Number 3, they know where they want to go, and they have no idea if there are roads or what the roads would even look like if they're there. So from number 1, let's start with that one easier. The least amount of work. So we let them say their change plan to us, summarize it, elicit change talk from them, and then troubleshoot. So SET will be like the acronym there. So summarize, elicit change talk, get them to elaborate about it, to be more specific, and then troubleshoot. Which troubleshooting is something that's going to come up in each of these 3 steps here with making a change plan. I want to walk them through some situations where a conflict might arise or they could somehow get distracted from their plan. Let's say that their goal is to lower their resting heart rate by 10 beats per minute. And they know that they can do that by doing more cardiovascular workouts. So they've already taken steps and signed up for a gym, and they've looked at it, and they will be going to a morning cardio class 3 days a week. Troubleshooting with that could be something like, okay, well, walk me through, what time is the class? Oh, it's at 6 a.m. every morning, so from 6 to 7. That gives me time to get ready for work and everything. Okay, what's something that could prevent you from making that class? Well, and then you'll see them think, maybe if I stayed out late at night, or I didn't set my alarm, or I hit my snooze button 100 times. And then you could walk them through what do you think are some good ways to avoid those roadblocks towards your goal? So boom, set, summarize, elicit change talk, and then troubleshoot. That's the first situation. The second situation is they know where they want to go, so confirm that again with them. But they know there's like, hey, I've heard that I can lower my resting heart rate, but I can do cardio workouts, or I can change my diet, or I can just move around more in the day, or whatever other things there might be. So we want to provide a list of options, and then maybe they're forgetting something. And then if we want to add an additional option, how you could do that is to acknowledge what they already know, right? Like, so tell me what you already know about this. Okay, awesome, great. And if it's okay with you, ask permission. There's a couple of other things that if you could choose from. Again, you're going to know what's going to work best for you. But there's also, in addition to, you're totally right with the cardio workouts and changing your diet, there's a possibility of taking medication. And I want to know what you think, which of those would be a good plan A, a good first attempt for you. So this is, again, we're framing this as a plan A. So maybe it doesn't work best for them. Maybe they don't know what's best for them in the situation. But even if that's the case, like, that's okay, because it's just plan A. So we want to elicit their hunch. What do you think? What would you like to try out first? So again, this idea of trying out is kind of makes commitment less scary. So then we would summarize their plan, again, evoke, and then troubleshoot with them, just like we did before. Third example is like, they know where they want to go. I want to lower my resting heart rate because it's important to me, and these are my reasons why. I have no idea how to do that. Okay, so we want to resist the writing reflex from like giving them a prescription. Here's what you should do, because motivational interviewing finds that doesn't work. So we can have fun with them. Let's brainstorm. Let's just think of like whatever. Oh, like I want to move to a desert island because there would be no bad food there and no distractions, and I just sit in the sun all day and I'd probably run around the island or whatever. Like, we're not assessing or judging the plans at this point. Just making a list, being silly, whatever, and then working from there. Have you heard of anything before? Have you known anyone who's lowered the resting heart rate or had success with anything? Boom, and then we can add our own ideas and give what they've said, right? So a collaborative list of ideas that's fun. Elicit their hunches for what they think would be a best plan A for them, and then troubleshoot. One more thing about the planning process that was really cool, it was new to me when we talked about setting goals, is they have this scale from +3 to -3 we'd like to do. So +3 is like the best possible outcome, +2 is a good, +1 is a little less good, +0. 0 is where they're already at, -1, -2, and the -3 is like the worst possible outcome. So let's say, sticking with going to the gym analogy, a +3 would be going to that class 3 times in a week. +2 would be, let's say, 2. +1 would be 1. 0 would be none, which is what they're doing already. -1 could be in this situation, like maybe they went to the gym and they make up some excuse why, like, oh, like I was uncomfortable, so I left. Or I had a panic attack at the front desk and I freaked out because all the people around me, like, they were already in good shape and I felt self-conscious and I ran away. Maybe that'd be like a number 3, -3. But this idea, so that we can have incremental progress, and that's going to come up with how can we strengthen their commitment. So this is not like a light switch on and off. It's more of a dimmer where we have different settings. So we really want to celebrate every little success that they have and every little change that they make, even if regardless of what we think, just, praise every change that's made. So number 3, how do we strengthen their level of commitment? We want to accept their level of commitment, first of all. We don't want to push them to like, oh, this is like, this is a 4 for you. You should be at a 9. No, we're at a 4. Great. Maybe, why aren't you at a 2? So there's this fancy idea, implementation intentions. When you study the linguistics of change, there's 2 things that come up that predict how effective changes will stick to people's lives. Number 1 is if they have a specific plan of action. So for example, the gym membership with going 3 classes 3 times a week in the morning before work, very specific and it's measurable. We can say if it happened or not, versus I want to get healthy or something, which that's maybe a wish, and a goal would be to lower my resting heart rate by 5 beats per minute, 10 beats per minute by going to class 3 times a week. So that's a specific plan, and then interpersonal statement of intent to do it. So if they're just telling you it, if they could also choose someone in their own life to share their goal with, the research finds that they will be more likely to stick with their plan and have better results. Oh, and one more thing. So this is the social support aspect of it. Self-monitoring. If they could just have, let's say, they would have a little, like a post-it note on the wall in their house. They can just check in every time they come home from a gym class. They would just mark it. Boom, I went. So that they're monitoring. If they want to lose weight, they would just go on the scale every morning, or whatever the case may be. But some sort of self-monitoring throughout their daily lives will also help them be successful. Okay, number 4, supporting change. Weird perspective here. So motivational interviewing from the perspective of the counselor is engaging, focusing, evoking, and planning. So, and it's not always like so linear. You can go back and forth, but the last step is really planning. From the client's perspective, they've come and talked to you maybe once or 2 or 3 times to get to this point, and now they're going to make their change. This is actually the beginning for them, but the end for us. So how do we sort of make that work together? So the idea is that they can have setbacks, and we can revisit each one of these steps. We can re-engage, for example. Ask for their advice for how could I be more supportive to you if you're not getting the results that you want. This could be like the consultant from the other time, because like, hey, how would you have me help this person better? Refocusing, maybe their values and their priorities will change throughout the process. Re-evoke, continuing to always reflect and to evoke change talk in them, and to frame their setbacks, if their failures, their setbacks as partial progress. So this is where the idea of the +3 to -3 comes in. Hey, You went to the gym 0 times in the last 6 months, and you went twice this week. Yes, your goal was 3 times, but you went infinitely more. You went twice, and you had gone none in the last 6 months. That's an amazing accomplishment. You should feel good about that. You can feel good about that. And to normalize setbacks. Like, oh, it's okay, that's all right. Most people, when they're making these changes, this happens to them as well. Boom. So this is the end of the planning process. Next week, we will talk about motivational interviewing in everyday practice, which I'm guessing they're going to give us some examples to look at some things that maybe we've overlooked so far. So we've know how to make a good change plan, being consistent with motivational interviewing, and evoking it from the client and supporting them. Have a great day.